Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Win, Die, Game, Repeat, a brand new gaming podcast that shares our love for games, gamers, and of course those all-important people, the game developers. We'll be talking about new games, old games, and what's coming up in the month ahead. There will be guests too from time to time with chat and questions with game developers and gaming creators. I'm Ready Player Poet, and with me is my co-host Dan from The Dan Good Show. I'm really looking forward to it. How about you, Dan?
Yes, I cannot wait to get into this.
I'm so pleased that you're joining me. It's great that our timings for getting on and doing this podcast seem to have aligned quite a bit.
Yes, stars aligned in a very weird way. The day before you emailed me about trying this out, I was just talking to my wife that I wanted to try podcasting, but I did not want to do it by myself. And so within 24 hours, you sent that out. So it's meant to be. I'm super excited.
Well, that is excellent. I'm really, really pleased because I've wanted to do this and I was a bit scared about doing it myself too, just by myself, because, you know, it's more fun, I think, for the listeners to have at least one other person.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I know you don't stream too much anymore, but sometimes you talk to yourself a fair bit in the stream. So it's nice to be able to have a conversation back and forth as well.
It is indeed. I like it. I like this. And it's been really nice. Before this evening, we're recording this now prior to the show going out, but we haven't spoken before, have we? This is the first time.
No. It's kind of a neat experience getting to, talk to somebody on like a text-based platform like Threads as often as I do with people. And then, switching over to not just a audio call, but, us being on camera talking to each other too. It's kind of a neat experience here. It's kind of a shot in the dark, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the software that I'm using, I've not used this before either, so this is very, very exciting for me too. I know that you just mentioned Threads. Yeah, we did meet on Threads. Dan has a great following of people. He's doing some really wonderful things with the Dan Good Show. I saw Dan through his show, the Dan Good Show, on YouTube and Twitch. He is on both those platforms. You really should check him out. He's got a great series called Games to Watch that he produces and puts out on YouTube. And honestly, it's one of the most succinct, perfect kind of explanations of what you're looking forward to in the month ahead that's coming up. And I thought, this guy is great. I can't wait to watch. I hit the bell. I told you, I sent you the message. I hit the bell. I thought, brilliant. I love this. I think it's going to go really, really well. And I thought, wow, what a great guy this would be to join me on the podcast and talk about games, gaming, and anything else that we feel is relevant in this sphere. Threads has been brilliant for doing that, don't you think, over the first year of it being available? It's been about 15 months now.
Yes, I think July probably last year it started, but it's what I have always wanted social media to be. I mean, even the fact that you and I are doing this right now is like a total testament to the platform, but it has been such a kind and welcoming place to celebrate gaming in a way that is not always celebrated on other platforms. So I'm genuinely so excited to be not just on Threads, but like doing this with you is just, it's a dream come true for like what social media could actually be, like being able to connect with people in this way. So I can't say enough good things about Threads.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's been perfect for me on there, and people are so welcoming and encouraging. And if you use it right, you don't have to deal with the bad actors that are out there on social media. They are there, but you can if you engage with them, you'll get more of them. So just don't engage. Yep.
100%.
What we want, don't anybody clip that from me anywhere and say don't engage. We want you to engage with this show. We are very much, I'm sure, me and Dan would like you to engage with this show. The website, everything is quite new, but there will be ways for people to get involved. We would like developers to talk to us about their games. We'll get,
Please.
I'm sure we can interview developers. We can talk to game creators and just include people in the conversation. So it's not just me and Dan having a conversation.
People like us.
Yeah, people like us,
Yeah.
gamers, people who love it.
Yeah.
As Dan was pointing out, the game win, die, game, repeat. For me, that has hidden away in it the concept of being an indie gamer. I play a lot of indie games. I play primarily the last couple of years. I play on PC a lot, although I've been a console gamer for years and I've been playing for decades. We won't mention quite how many. But Dan, you were saying you don't play on PC so much. You use that mostly for the streaming and creating content. Is that right?
Yes. You if gaming is a coin, you and I are both sides of it. So I am.
That's a beautiful thing to say.
Yes. So I'm dominantly a console player, but I have every console. So I have the Xbox Series X. I have the PlayStation 5. I did snag a PS5 Pro pre-order.
Oh.
I know there's a little debate, but I'm an early adopter on gaming tech always. So the MetaQuest 3 also came out last year, so I got that and I'm loving that as well. So I cover everything. I'm streaming a Switch game tomorrow, so I was going to say,
are you playing this
everything.
new Zelda game? Is that the new Zelda game?
Yeah, so if I can plug the Twitch really quick.
Well, obviously it won't be tomorrow when people are listening to this, but yeah, please do plug the Twitch.
Yeah. So
obviously,
I
this
stream.
Recording will be coming out in a couple of days from once we record it. But
I don't want to put a timeline on you. I don't want to pressure you on that.
No. Hopefully people are listening to this and it will be October the 7th. We will see.
Okay.
If that comes true, then, then obviously
Poet's a master.
Listening needs to give us a positive review.
That's
right.
How
it works, isn't it?
That's right. Yep. A couple shout outs online. Absolutely. If Poet gets it done, that's what we need. If not, we'd still appreciate a shout out. But
so every Sunday you do a family game show with your family, don't you?
So I do that every Tuesday night.
Oh, every Tuesday.
So Tuesday nights I play Fortnite with my family, my wife and my brothers. We get together. If any one of them isn't able to join, I sub out a friend in my life, just kind of all over the place. It's high school friends, college friends, work friends, doesn't matter.
That's on
and that is an absolute blast. Yes, and that is on Twitch. And then every Sunday morning, I stream a variety of adventure games. So I'm at the point now, it'll be after this recording, of course, but I've streamed on all three major platforms. So Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, I play games on all of them. And so I stream on all of them now.
Yeah. And as I've said before, you got to find Dan is the Dan Good Show, the Dan Good Show. You'll find that username on all those platforms where and you will be able to see great content from Dan. I occasionally stream. I haven't streamed for quite a while on Twitch. I did stream the first time a couple of years ago and I got told it was my anniversary again. And I thought, I want to do this and I'll get there. I've been creating a bit of content on YouTube, having a bit of fun. We'll see. And if anybody wants to listen to me, I'm Ready Player Poet and that's where you can find me. But
that's right.
Right now we are here for Win, Die, Game, Repeat, our new gaming podcast that, I came up with this concept a few weeks ago. I ran it by a few people. I'm delighted, really delighted that Dan is here. And we're going to talk about some new games that we've been getting interested about that are coming up soon. I might talk about some indie games, and Dan has got some perhaps more high-profile games to talk about. Why don't you hit us off with the first one, Dan?
Yeah. Well, and like I said, with, being two sides of the same coin, with you being more the indie focus, I do tend to focus a little bit more mainstream. I adore indie games, but I typically will focus a little bit more on the higher budget, AA, AAA kind of space. So
I'm a cheapskate.
We will balance each other really, really nicely. Really nicely.
I've got less cash available to me, perhaps, and I am here with my budget PC, somehow managing to play things like Satisfactory in its 1.0 release, the factory automation game. I've been playing that an awful lot the last couple of weeks. Just got myself towards having my new my nuclear power plant going on there, and now I have loads of toxic waste to get rid of. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. I noticed the first game that you said that you wanted to talk about is Silent Hill 2. Now that is something that sort of, I am terrible with horror games, Dan. I am terrified. For me, I remember I got Alan Wake, the first game. I bought the disc, I put it into my Xbox. My wife, my daughter was much younger then. Obviously, it's quite a few years ago that came out. And I put it in, I had my headphones on. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I started playing, and within 10 minutes, I was terrified.
Yeah, yeah.
I was utterly terrified. The sound design on that was superb, had me terrified. I had to turn it off.
So my favorite horror story, because I very much have a love-hate relationship with horror games. I can typically only play the third-person horror games. If it's first person, it feels too real to me. I cannot do it. But the first horror game I ever played was the original Dead Space. At launch, I'd say I was probably about 14 years old. And at the time, my younger brother was 10 years old. And we kind of bullied my mom into letting us rent the original Dead Space at Blockbuster, which dates me a little bit as well. But yes, we were at Blockbuster every Friday. And so we rented it. We booted it up. I promise you, we also made it 10 minutes before we screamed bloody murder and had to, in shame, tell our mom that we lied to her and that we're too scared to play this game. So I have a very love-hate relationship with horror games. But yes, Silent Hill 2, I'm really excited about the remake because the original came out in, I want to say 2001. So it's been over 20 years. And so then I would have been 11.
Okay, maybe a bit too.
No, I would have been 8. No, I totally messed that up. Yeah, I would have been 8 years old. So I did not play Silent Hill 2 when it released. But what I do love is the modern Resident Evil games. Like they've done an excellent job with Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 4, bringing those to life for modern audiences. And so when I look at this game, I look very much at those remakes, and I'm obsessed with those. So I feel like we can't talk about it. Can't be October and we're starting a podcast and we don't start with horror games. That feels like
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yes.
So have you noticed one of the things that I think people have wondered about with this game coming out is they've got an over-the-shoulder camera view? That's a big deal, right?
Well, yeah, and that's how I prefer to play horror games, truthfully. But yeah, so from what I've seen of the original Silent Hill 2, it has more of the they call them tank controls, and the fixed hallway camera angles, which is very common of that era. You know, like I have gone back and looked at how Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 played, and it was very much you have this top-down camera looking down a hallway for you, and you kind of just move in small lines that way, and then once you approach the end of the hallway, the angles adjust, which is definitely an older style. I don't think anyone would really prefer that style anymore. So the fact that they have brought the camera behind the shoulder and lets you explore Silent Hill more freely, I think is going to be really, really nice.
And that comes out on the 8th of October. So hopefully, if you're listening to this on the 7th, and it will be coming out tomorrow. If you're listening to this later, because obviously the podcast will be available everywhere that you listen to podcasts after this date forever, let's hope.
Forever?
Then, maybe you're listening back to this on the 50th anniversary of Silent Hill 2.
Ooh.
You're listening to it
the anniversary of the remake.
The anniversary third remake, or some might say if it's PlayStation, maybe there'll be 6 remakes by then. I don't know. Am I being too cheeky? They do love a remake right now.
Yes,
but they're apparently going to be remaking Horizons.
Yes, that one's particularly spicy. I think just because it feels so new. I feel like you need to give it. I think the sentiment, at least, is that a game needs at least double-digit years since release before we see a new title. And I think Horizon's just outside that.
They are bringing out this Pro iteration of the PlayStation 5, and they clearly want to have some reasons to get people to buy some more software that they say are going to use the facilities on the Pro. And so if you're buying the Pro, then you're going to care about the slightly higher, even if it's not a huge jump in specifications or in quality, that if you're buying the Pro, then you want these new things. So It's not crazy that they're doing it, but for some people,
No.
some people it's not what you want to do. But if you're early adopters, like you say, you can be. If you have the wherewithal to do that, then why not?
Yeah. When I think specifically on the PlayStation side, they've tried to tie these remakes of what feels like newer games, specifically with their other like media projects. So The Last of Us Part 1, the remaster then came out as the HBO show was coming out. So at the time, there was really a little bit of animosity towards that because Last of Us Part 1 had already been remastered. It was just called The Last of Us Remastered. And now it's The Last of Us Part 1. So that game has already had 2 remakes. And so I can understand the frustration there for some fans. But the goal of it is typically to try to tie it to other media projects that PlayStation is doing with those IPs. And they understand that everyone that watches a TV show might not necessarily be playing the game. So they want to have the opportunity to have that stuff out as a potential new audience is there. So there's definitely a lot of different angles to it, but I can understand any criticism as well.
Well, I've been playing a game published by Konami as well right now that came out quite recently. It's a game by a Scottish developer called Keelworks. It's called Cygni. Cygni, All Guns Blazing. And it really, really, really does fit with the 4-decade history that Konami has for arcade games. Now, I know you were saying 21 years ago you were only 8, so you possibly didn't have quite the experience that I did. Well, you wouldn't have had this experience at all during the 80s. You wouldn't have been around in the 80s of playing in the arcades on arcade machines at the time when the only way to play things at home were the Atari or Spectrum home computers, the tiny little things with 48K of memory, or the Commodore 64, things like those.
Okay. Commodore I know, Spectrum I don't.
Yeah, so there was people. A friend of mine had a Commodore. I had a Spectrum. We'd go to each other's houses and play these games. But they are tiny, tiny. Real retro stuff you're looking at now. But there's a game called Galaxian that came out, and this game really feels like that. So if anybody's listening who played Galaxian or things like it in the past, it is a kind of bullet hell, dual stick thing. You're in a spaceship. You've got to fight things on the ground. You've got to fight things in the air, and it is hard. Or it has the same. There's a famous title, an arcade title from Konami called Contra, that was an arcade machine that they put out in 1987, where you could shoot in 8 directions and pick up weapons. But it famously was super difficult. You got hit once, you're dead.
Okay,
that was it.
Is Cygni a little more forgiving?
A little bit more forgiving. I think you have about 5 or 6 hits that you can.
Oh,
have.
okay.
And you shoot more. You shoot more of the space. You're not. I was going to say Space Invaders. We're not quite going back to Space Invader territory. Although the tutorial that they have for it is so retro, it's a bit like you were playing on an old Atari console back in the early 80s, with the way that they try and teach you about the controls through this tutorial that looks like an old Atari game version of what you're about to do.
Okay.
The game is beautiful. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and it is tough as hell. It's hardcore. I haven't managed to complete the first mission, and I played for about an hour this morning. I had a real tough time, but that was great. So I do recommend people give that a little look if you can. I think it's on Steam and on consoles. I was playing it on the Xbox. I believe on Steam it's only £20. So whatever that might relate to in other people's currencies. But Silent Hill 2, do we know how much that'll be?
Silent Hill 2, I believe, is a $70 release.
$70 release. There we go. Yes. And that's going to be on PlayStation and Steam.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think it has an Xbox release.
No, I don't imagine it does. While we were talking earlier, we were saying about your next game, Metaphor ReFantazio. ReFantazio. That comes out on the 11th of October.
It does.
I had it downloaded on my Xbox Series X, the demo that they have out for that,
Yeah.
which lots of people have been talking about how great the demo was. I hadn't had a chance to play it, but when you sent me last night your list of games that you wanted to talk about, I thought, well, I should play it. Oh my gosh, it's adorable, isn't it? Have you played the demo some?
Yes. So I have, I want to say I have about 4.5 hours in the demo, and it does not appear that I'm in the demo, and it doesn't appear that I am anywhere close to finishing it. The demo is specifically the prologue or chapter 1 to the game. And not only is the demo massive, it is free of any sort of restrictions. It is truly the beginning of the game, and any progress that you make in the demo, you can transfer to the full game. So I think people are praising the demo online because of that. And seriously, I think we need to see so much more of that in gaming, particularly like we just said with the $70 release. It is so nice to get a couple hours in a game that is this big, that's also kind of new for Atlus, changing things up with like the high fantasy setting. I think so many more developers need to follow that example.
I know, there's a fairy. There's a fairy that follows you around. I mean, you get this right at the beginning. This isn't really spoiler territory, is it?
No.
Right at the beginning. It's been mentioned on their website that you've got this fairy called Glyphica that joins you on your journey. And she's cute as hell and is just a beautiful counterpoint to this character that you get to name yourself. Well, what did you call your character?
So I named my character Bosch, and I was trying to, I found a Reddit thread for it. I don't use Reddit often, but Reddit pops up a lot when you're Googling stuff about video games. And I was like, what kind of name makes sense for a character in this fantasy setting? I wasn't prepared to name my character. I thought it was just, initially, you actually named two characters. You almost have like this outside narrator, which I just put as Dan. And then I didn't realize that my protagonist also needed a name. I was like, well, I just put my name down. So I wasn't prepared to name my character twice. And somebody referenced something where it was like the art style of this game reminded them of a specific artist. And so unfortunately, I don't remember the first name of them, but the last name was Bosch. And so I just went with that, Bosch. And I thought that was kind of cool to have a name that sort of reminded people of the art style in the game as well. Kind of just doing two different layers there.
For whatever reason, I didn't look or I didn't do any research for a name. Somehow I called my character Reynard.
Reynard, okay.
And it didn't feel, I thought, this is weird. Why am I doing this? If I end up getting the game and start streaming it or create any content for it for myself, then people are going to go, why have you called yourself Reynard? And I don't know why I did. It just happened.
It just came to you.
It seems to be fine. And I certainly felt that it was okay when, I don't want to say exactly what happens when you hit the first boss, but when you hit the first boss and the way they talk about the type of a being that the first boss is.
Oh, yes.
This might be okay, this name, and it's a little bit terrifying. It's a terrifying concept. The way the game turns the fantasy around so that the type of beings that are around on what you think they are.
Yeah. Very interesting wordplay on, previously it's been demons. In the Persona franchise, you're accustomed to going up against demons. And it's a similar monsters style, but the wordplay on it will definitely catch people's attention. I'm very curious to see if we get answers as to why they choose the naming that they do.
I know. And we can't talk about the demo and this game coming out without mentioning the amazing character design. I think Shigenori Sujima is the main proponent behind all those choices, and the music by Shoji Meguro. It's so beautiful. Such beautiful
it's phenomenal.
Music.
The battle music in particular is incredible. The chants remind me, I'm not sure, Poet, if you're an anime fan or not, but the battle music alone reminds me very much of Attack on Titan.
Oh, I know. And yes, exactly.
Yeah, Yeah. The battle music alone is incredible, but you're totally right. Character designs are fantastic. Music design is fantastic.
And the technical teams, the way they've implemented the music, the way it sort of seamlessly transposes between, you're walking around and you're going, and then you're into the little cut scenes. You do feel like you're in an anime. You're the protagonist. You're following the story, even more so, I think, than Persona 3, 4, and 5. Where you feel like you're playing a video game there, very much so in those titles. Not no disrespect to them, they are fantastic games with 100 hours easily in Persona 5.
Oh, easy.
So I can imagine if the demo for this is 5-6 hours, as we've been hearing, that people have got a long story to play ahead of them when this comes out on the 11th.
I think I've even seen ahead of time that the expected completion of just the story is 80 hours. That's not including how deep you want to dive into the game. So it's if you're a true Atlus fan, like if Persona games are your jam, you're in for 100+ hour story.
And this game, unlike Silent Hill 2, this is available everywhere, isn't it? It's even going to be on the PS4.
Is that right? It's old gen as well.
They're releasing it for PS4, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Hopefully the PS4 won't have issues with the beautiful user interface, which is delightful in itself.
Oh, the level up screens are stunning.
Everything about the user interface is gorgeous.
But I feel like Atlus's art style is still previous gen friendly. I certainly hope that it's not terribly demanding on the PS4. So hopefully, as many people can enjoy it as possible.
But it's going to be PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and it'll be Steam and Windows Store, and that comes out on the 11th of October. So another recommendation from Dan and Dan's Games to Watch on the Dan Good Show is Metaphor ReFantazio. Now, here, the third one that you've got is something that I couldn't possibly be able to play because I don't have any way of playing VR, but you do. You mentioned you've got the MetaQuest 3.
Yes.
And this is, tell us which one it is.
Yeah. So this is called Batman Arkham Shadow. This one I'm very excited for because there's not a lot of, when you think of VR, you don't think of a big experience, right? You almost think of like tech demos or a little bit more arcade style. You don't often get to hear that you're in for a big adventure, like a 20+ hour adventure. So Batman Arkham Shadow as well is another title in the Arkhamverse. So if you're familiar with Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Origins, this fits neatly in that timeline just after Origins, but before Asylum. So this is a little bit of a prequel. If you're a fan of that series. So I played them all. Am hyped.
I've even played the Telltale narrative series.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I've played all of them. I absolutely love them. And they're one of the few games I actually completed. I do flit around, and you get so far and then you go, I tried to actually fully complete the whole Arkham Knight. I tried to 100% it. I'm not a 100%er of games. But the story,
that game is so large.
It's massive.
Yes. Yeah, the Arkham stories are incredible, but I think oftentimes particularly the Riddler trophies can be a bit burdensome to find all of them. It's exciting when you find them, but trying to 100% complete the Arkham games can occasionally be tricky.
The website True Achievement, which obviously they have True Trophies as well for PlayStation players and True Achievement for Xbox players. They I don't use them so much now because I've not been hunting achievements so much on my Xbox, and I've barely played my PlayStation to my own. I feel bad about that, but it sits there in front of me gathering dust, poor thing. But it will send out notifications to say it's this date tomorrow, and you can go in and get the next section that you need for one of the particular trophies. Is that Knight, or is that Arkham Knight or Return to Arkham? I can't remember which game it is, but there's one.
I feel like it's Arkham Knight.
You have to actually be logged in and go and speak to this prisoner on a particular
at a certain time, a certain day. Would it be, is that with Calendar Man?
I think that's right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Man, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been so long since I played it.
What are you loving about the prospect of Arkham Shadows? I looked at the trailer.
Yes.
It looks like the the combat is going to be fantastic.
Yes, it literally looks like you are just playing Arkham Asylum in VR, which is, to me, is great. So it'll be a little bit more isolated environments as opposed to exploring all of Gotham, but we'll still get to check out a couple neat locations in Gotham, but we'll tackle things more room to room, and it seems a lot more stealth focused like Arkham Asylum originally was. But gameplay trailers that I've seen, you can still, you can do the grapple takedowns from up high, tying up guards and slowly picking apart a room and taking out, each little guard, it's its own stealth puzzles. You're climbing around vents and stuff and leaping from statue to statue. It is literally Arkham Asylum in VR. So I'm super, super excited for it.
And as far as I'm aware, people who are just buying their MetaQuest 3. So if you're buying a MetaQuest now, you get it for free, don't you?
Yes. So and something
you won't get it for free because
I'll have to buy it, but that's okay. So it is specifically, it's only on the Quest 3 and the recently announced Quest 3S. It's only available on those models. But yes, to your point, Poet, if you purchase one of those now, I'm sure there will be a certain window that they'll allow you to do a bit of a grace period.
Year, actually, because obviously they're thinking about the Christmas holiday period.
Absolutely.
To sell more consoles, sell more hardware, and get the game out there. Yeah.
So if you do it from now, then we'll say to end of year 2024, Arkham Shadow will be included with that Quest purchase. They did something similar to that when the Quest 3 released, I want to say in October of last year. They seem to like that timeline for the new product rollouts, but it paired with Asgard's Wrath 2, which is
that the role-playing game that you were talking about?
Yes. So it's I didn't play Asgard's Wrath 1. That one was more it felt more Nordic focused, more like God of War Ragnarok, kind of in that environmental style and focusing on the Norse gods. This one is more focused on an Egyptian setting with Egyptian gods, but really, really cool open world RPG. It's the kind of thing that feels impossible on a VR headset, particularly something like the Quest 3, which is portable. It's not plugged into a computer, and it's incredible what they're able to do.
I know. It looks insane what they're able to do with the 3S at the price point that they're doing with that.
Yeah.
I think $299. Yeah, something crazy like that. I think actually I saw that the Quest 3 is on sale for something like $450 or something at the moment. Which I think that's quite a big discount. I don't know where I saw that, but if you want to get things going with your VR and you haven't got anything and you want to try this game, when does this come out?
This comes out October 22nd.
So just before the end of October.
Yes.
And who's the developers behind this? Do we know?
The developer's name is Camouflage, and I unfortunately did not play their previous title. My understanding is that they've been working on this for the last 4-ish years, but their previous title was the Iron Man VR game, which I know was received very well. I just personally haven't played it. Yeah, I looked at that and I thought, when that was coming out, the Iron Man VR game, I thought, who wouldn't want the Iron Man in VR? Yeah, right. So Meta was clearly impressed and had them tackle another comic book IP. So this one I am picking up for sure. I'm super excited. Excellent. Okay, so from VR and some, the AAA titles that we've been talking about, here's some indie games that I have been looking at. There's one that's coming out on the 9th of October on Steam, and it is a roguelite horde survival game like you have never really seen before. So if you like those type of games that remind me, again, I'm showing my age and my times in the arcade as a young boy. There was a game back then called Asteroid. You just a little tiny triangular ship in the middle of the screen, and asteroids would come at you, and you'd have to shoot. I do know that one. Otherwise, you'd get hit and you'd die. So these horde survival games where you're the center of the screen and you don't move around on the screen. Some games like that. There is no, unlike Vampire Survivors, for instance, or the Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, both excellent games. I really love the Deep Rock Galactic Survivor roguelite that has been out a few months now. Unlike those, you are the center of the screen and you don't move anywhere. But the
the mobs, the things that are coming to attack you, they are words. The game is called Glyphica Typing Survival. It releases on the 9th of October on Steam, and they're words that come at you, and you have to type the words in. So
it's like a speed challenge.
It's a speed challenge, yeah. You're doing that, but in true roguelike style, you level. The more you get, the more points that you accrue, and then you get a new level, and you'll get a level up bonus, and then you will choose that level up bonus that you think is going to be best. Whether it's spinning blades that cut the words after you type a word that has the letter J or H in it or something.
Okay.
Or whether it's a freezing. A freeze bomb that holds words in place so they stop coming towards you. It's just delightful. And
that sounds so fun.
Here's the thing that people will like. Those people that have issues with whether apps have light or dark mode, the game has light or dark mode.
Fantastic. So I'm a dark mode fan here. Yep.
Well, there you go. You will have a dark mode on that. It's just beautiful. It's by a developer I'd not heard about before called Alias Black. There's a demo. I don't know how long the demo will still be available. I'm assuming because there is a thing called Steam Next Fest. Do you know about Steam Next Fest? So
I don't have a ton of experience with Steam, so I'm actually not familiar with it. Well,
so Steam, obviously very popular for PC gamers. They do a thing each October. I can't remember if they do it twice a year now. I have been involved with looking at them and trying to promote some games from them before, but they have a thing for a whole week. It goes, this time it's from October the 14th to the 21st of this month, in 2024, Steam Next Fest, and they will be promoting and uplifting games from predominantly indie developers, but also there will be ones that are mentioned from bigger studios. They will probably have sales or whatever, and they will. And the indie games will have sales on usually, but the big thing is it's the next fest. It's what's going to come next in the indie gaming world. So people will have demos out, and you'll be able to try things that might not be coming out this year. They might be coming out in 2025, but developers, push hard to get themselves on there. You only get one chance as a developer to have your game put in the next fest. So if you go for it earlier in the year and you're not ready, you can't have it again. So you only one time. Yeah. So as I've heard from other developers, it's only one time that you can have your game in the Steam Next Fest.
Okay. So you got to be ready.
You've got to be ready. It's got to be at the right time for you. So I think too early in the cycle, way before you're ready to release into early access. Got a lot of games on Steam will enter into early access and have lots of input from the players through however they want their communities to get involved. Quite a lot will have Discords about them. Luckily, a lot will also use the features of the communities on the Steam website and the app itself to see what's working for people, and they'll make changes. The game that I mentioned earlier, Satisfactory, that released into early access 5 years ago. It just released in 1.0 in last month. And then there's a really sweet game made by a guy called Helder Pinto, and obviously he's working with other people. Helder Pinto is an ex-Blizzard developer who worked a lot on world environments for Overwatch and for Diablo and so on. And they've gone out by themselves to make their own game, a game called Europa.
I've seen this on Threads.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful style. It has got that kind of Ghibli-esque vibe to the visuals. And it's meant to be a very narrative game. You're on a moon called Europa, and it says it's a lush terraformed paradise in Jupiter's shadow, and an android named Z sets out in search of answers. And you run, glide, fly across the landscape, solve little mysteries in the ruins of this fallen utopia. And it's apparently you discover the story of the last human alive. That's their pitch for it. It's not meant to be a big, massive, long game. Completely unlike Metaphor ReFantazio. It's meant to be 3 to 4 hours long. Completion. That's it. Story-driven, short, beautiful thing. Published by Future Friends Game. Comes out on the 11th of October. There's a demo for that. I was playing it this morning for a little while. It's absolutely beautiful. But those are just a couple of the indie games that I think interesting coming out early October that I think will be great, and there'll be more obviously Steam Next Fest. I'm sure the next time we talk, Dan, I will have found some more indie little nuggets to share with you and share with the listeners. But before we finish this first episode, which I've absolutely adored talking with you, by the way.
Yeah, same.
It's been really, really delightful. I thought we would get on, but as I said before, obviously we spent like half an hour before recording trying to fix things and introducing ourselves to each other. But this has been really, really lovely. I can't wait to do this again. But before we finish, you've got one last game that we cannot leave the first episode of the podcast that's come in October of 2024 without talking about, can we?
Yes, no chance. We cannot skip out on Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Dragon Age the Veilguard. That's
right. Yes, well, and also like metaphor too. Like high fantasy speaks to me so much, and I would say personally, Dragon Age Origins, the first title in this franchise, is one of my favorite fantasy games of all time.
And how many? I was looking. There were 8 games in the series so far.
Ooh, 8. Oh, I thought there were 4.
You've got Origins, Journeys, Origins Awakening, Dragon Age 2. There's Legends, Heroes of Dragon Age, which was a mobile-only title.
Okay.
A thing called The Last Court, which was apparently a web browser game in 2014. It came out just before they brought out Inquisition. And Inquisition is the last title that we've had, and that was released 10 years ago.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know there were that many entries. I heard you say Awakening in there. I believe that is a big expansion on Origins.
Big expansion on Origins. Yeah. Yes, so it sort of counts like a separate game, but it's
okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's what
I didn't realize it was that fast. Yeah. So full disclosure, I did not play Inquisition. But like I said, Dragon Age Origins, and I did play Awakening as well. Genuinely one of my favorite fantasy stories, not just video games, like stories. It was one of the first times that I remember feeling like a video game could be a storybook to me, and it was captivating in that way as well. So maximum hype for Veilguard.
I mean, full disclosure for me, I did play Inquisitions, but I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I played for 100 hours.
Oh no! And didn't finish.
Something dragged me away to do so. Something, life, another game. Who knows?
Sure.
My at the time undiagnosed ADHD. Who knows what it was? And I didn't carry on. And then when I went to go back, I thought, I can't remember how to play.
Oh, that's so sad. I have so many games like that where I'm scared to go back because it's like, I do not remember how to play this.
I've restarted The Witcher 3 about 4 times and played for about 20 hours each time and then got dragged away with something.
Yep.
I've never finished that either, but I absolutely adore it and wish I could.
My wife has done the same thing with Breath of the Wild. She's done that one 3-4 times as well. Always wants to get into it, and then you take some time away, and it's hard to get back in.
Yeah, you just forget. I know some games have got brilliant features, and we'll notice. You say it's been a while since you last opened this save file. Do you want to know? Want to be reminded how to play?
Oh, I love that.
I could do with more of that. But let's talk more about why you love the idea of Veilguard. I mean, I've watched so many clips about it. I just think the style of it looks amazing. I can't wait.
Yes,
it is perhaps one of the AAA games that I really, really do want to buy. I'm going to figure out if I can afford to get it and put it on my Xbox. It's going to be out everywhere, isn't it?
Yes, that is all platforms, and it comes out on Halloween. So I am actually going to be taking a little time off work on Halloween, and I'm going to be playing that day one. So I'm looking forward to that.
Many thousands of other people will be having.
Oh yes. If BioWare would like to send me a sick note for my boss, I would certainly appreciate that.
I don't think you need it. Whatever you're doing, I think you just sort of say, look, it's Dragon Age. It's once in every 10 years thing.
Hey,
I'm sick.
But yeah, so this one is actually including characters from previous titles. So I know Morrigan is a fan favorite. She goes all the way back to Dragon Age Origins. Varric is a very charismatic character from Dragon Age 2 that I know made his way over to Inquisition. He is a dwarf character that's famous for his companion Bianca, which is just a crossbow that's like as big as Varric is. And then Solus, who I know is in Inquisition. Like I said, I haven't played, but my understanding is he's an ally in Inquisition.
He is.
Is that right,
from
Poet?
what I've seen in Veilguard, not so much.
He's the big bad. He's the big bad from what little we've been able to see. I feel like we've gotten to see a ton of gameplay and design, but BioWare's been really cagey with the story, which I'm honestly not upset about. No. Because like I said, with this being a storybook adventure, to me, like I want to not know what's going to happen next. So I'm kind of okay with them being a little cagey on the story details.
Yeah, me too. And it's a solo game, am I right? You can't.
Yeah.
Again, I remember the article I read about it. I can't remember where I read this. Maybe Game Radar or something. I don't know. Where they wondered about trying to make co-op or trying to make you be able to be in control of the other characters, and you can't in the full one. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So I think in Inquisition and in Dragon Age 2. Maybe honestly, even in Origins, you can rotate between your companions. I personally am more than okay with having that choice be taken away from me. I think less can be more with a deep RPG like this, because there's going to be so many skills and spells and techniques that you'll be wanting to try to navigate through in each encounter. I don't necessarily need to play other characters on top of that, so I'm really okay with it.
Me, then. Also, how many things can you hold on to that
are
going to be used for this character? Maybe that's still an issue. Maybe you still can send things to each character. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out in a couple of weeks.
So long as there's no encumbrance, because that is truly my nightmare. No weight limits, please. Please, let me just take everything.
If you ever played Fallout 4, and that moment that you get your first suit and you just think, oh, now I've got this big, massive steel suit, and now I can carry
the power 40
armor. Kilos and how much? My specials. What am I going to put this into?
Yep.
Come on, I want to carry more. And there's
100%.
Nothing in there. What are you doing? Get rid of all that rubbish.
I take all the junk. You have to. I struggle with that mightily in Bethesda games.
I posted a picture from a snapshot from me saying I'm going to try and do this nuclear power plant in Satisfactory online, and someone on Thread said, you need to put this, and this in a chest somewhere. Why are you carrying those around with you? I thought, I don't know, I quite like it. One of them is just a little, it's a little cosmetic thing of a mug, like a coffee mug.
Okay.
So you can pretend that you're just wandering around your factory and just having a little drink, rather than the sword or the the gun or the tool that you're using or whatever.
Just a quick coffee break.
I hoard things all the time. And also, I can't drink coffee. There's various stupid health reasons. And so, it's just a little bit sort of vicarious pleasure that way.
Okay. Yeah. I love it.
I'm allowed. But the Veilguard is just, people have been waiting for this game for 10 years. Mm-hmm. There's a lot for the game to live up to, isn't there?
Yeah. High expectations, but also anything that I have heard from, I hope I don't mispronounce her name, but I believe it's Corinne, who is the game director for Veilguard. Yeah, she's also she's wonderful on Threads.
It's so great to see a big game like this having their director.
Yes, right. It's so nice to see people in the industry on Threads. I hope to see that more in 2025. I think we'll get there.
We will.
But Corinne and the whole team seems really, really aware of how storied this franchise is, and also how eagerly people have been waiting for it. So I think that's going to show in the design. It already seems like, even just in terms of how they're tackling combat or how they're tackling, I've seen some updates to dialogue choices, a little bit more transparency there, and how your dialogue will actually impact characters, and also making sure that they're pulling in characters from previous titles in a way that's both approachable to new players, but also honors people's time spent in the franchise over the last, truthfully, probably close to 20 years, right? If it's been 10 since Inquisition, it's got to be close to 20 since Origins. So they seem really, really aware of that. So I feel pretty confident that this is going to be excellent.
Okay. Well, I've really, really loved talking games today and meeting you properly, sort of face to face. We're talking. We can see each other. I know you can't.
Yeah.
who knows what might happen in the future with the podcast?
Yeah, maybe someday.
Visual things. We might do some streaming together.
Maybe someday.
Maybe we'll do some things. There will be other people on the podcast from time to time, but I think what is proved to me today, Dan, is that this feels really good. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed talking with you. Hopefully the listeners have enjoyed listening to us today. I'm just going to recap on the games that I've mentioned. So obviously I talked a little bit about Satisfactory. The 1.0 release came out at the end of September. Great Automation Factory game worth checking out. Glyphica Typing Survival releases on the 9th of October on Steam. Europa releases on the 11th of October. And your games, just quick rundown of the times that they release.
So I have the Silent Hill 2 remake is out on Tuesday. So podcast may be up in time for the release for it. Reviewing really well right now. It's got an 87 on Metacritic, so something to look forward to. Metaphor ReFantazio comes out on October 11th. Batman Arkham Shadow, the first entry back into the Arkhamverse, that comes out on the 22nd. It is a VR-only title, so keep that in mind. And then Dragon Age the Veilguard comes out on Halloween. So plenty to look forward to between the indies and the AAAs across the month.
Yeah, loads. And obviously, we are going to be back in, let's hope, 2 weeks. We managed to get this together in 24 hours, so I'm sure we can do another one in 2 weeks' time. That's the idea. People say bi-weekly for podcasts, but it's such a strange phrase that means both twice a week or once every 2 weeks. So it's a really weird phrase, but I'm certainly not going to do 2 a week. That would be crazy. But I think we'll be back in a fortnight, is what we say in the UK.
Okay.
So we'll be back in a fortnight. 2 weeks' time, we'll have another episode for you. But in between recording the Win, Die, Game, Repeat podcast, myself and Dan of The Dan Good Show, don't forget to check it out, will of course be creating content for you on our own personal channels. You can find myself and Dan, YouTube, Twitch, and Threads, both of us, separately, obviously, as well as on this podcast. Me as Ready Player Poet and Dan as The Dan Good Show. I hope that everybody has enjoyed listening to this first episode as much as myself and Dan appear to have enjoyed doing it. I'm really enjoying the idea of it. I think, well, I'm going to listen again, and I've just been talking to you for an hour.
I can't wait to hear it back.
Yeah, me too. And if this is going to be one of the gaming podcasts that you're going to enjoy listening to, please do follow us on whatever place you're listening to it, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to it. Give us a follow, give us a like, a comment, a review, whatever works for you. That would be really, really helpful. I will tell you this, Dan, you might not know this, that I know I only registered the name and everything less than a week ago. We've got 10 subscribers on YouTube already, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
A week. Surely we can make that 20 before the next episode airs. Who knows?
Ooh, okay. Quite the challenge. Okay. I love it.
A little challenge for everyone who's listening. Share this around. See if we can get to 20 before the next episode in a fortnight's time. I really have enjoyed it. If people want to get in touch with us about your projects, about games that you're developing, about content that you think we should be talking about, then you can do that via our website at windiegamerepeat.com. We look forward to sharing more with you in 2 weeks. Dan will be here with me again.
Yes.
Make sure you catch the Dan Good Show's Game to Watch series on YouTube and check out their Twitch and see Dan and his family playing Fortnite on Tuesday nights. That should be good.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Dan, for being here. Really, really, really happy that you're involved.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Your email could not have been more timed. It's one of the coolest emails that I've ever received. So thank you for letting me be a part of your adventure. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Oh, this is definitely not my adventure anymore. It is our adventure, and I'm looking forward to taking it with you. This has been Win, Die, Game, Repeat, your new podcast for all things gaming. Thank you for listening to our first episode. I'm Ready Player Poet, signing out until next time. Thanks so much for listening.